Hello there guys and welcome to Mad.Mini. So here I have the rather gorgeous Fock Superheavy tank from Fankezipanzercorp, who are a Etsy based business. They got in touch with me recently after seeing my channel to see if I wanted to do a video on one of their vehicles, and I selected this bad boy. It actually comes in one piece, and so there's no construction. The turret is separate, but you just stick that on top and that rotates nice and freely. It's definitely bringing Fellblade vibes to me. I have made some modifications on this at this point. I actually decided to shorten the machine gun barrels on the side because they were sticking out quite a way, and it just makes it a little bit easier for storage. But I do make further modifications. I actually turn those into heavy bolters, as you'll see later in the video. So I just want to bring this thing round to the 40k universe, but I'm really liking what I'm seeing here. Now I'm just going to give you a bit of a scale comparison next. The first comparison I'll draw is against a Rogaldorn heavy tank from GW. You can see that's easily dwarfed here, longer, wider and taller, guys. As you'd expect, it is a super heavy vehicle after all. I've kept the original turret on the Rogaldorn. You may have seen my recent video where I mucked around putting Baneblade turrets on them for greater effect, but I put the original on for the sakes of comparison here, guys. So definitely bigger than a Rogaldorn, but smaller than a Baneblade, so it definitely sits in between the two. I think it's still big enough to legitimately be super heavy at the 40k scale, but do bear in mind this thing is deliberately printed out at about 1:60, so it is a smaller scale anyway, and I think they can print off any size and scale you like. By the way, I will put a link to Frakezipanzercorp in the video description as well, so you can go and talk to them about that if you're interested. But it is intentionally smaller, so you must bear that in mind. I'm going to make some modifications to bring it round to the 40k universe and to the 40k scale. And if I draw your attention to the hatches on top of the turret here, I put a guardsman against it. Look, you can see they're not really large enough to accommodate a guardsman, so I'm going to do some work with that. And I will further compare now against a Baneblade turret, so you can directly see the difference in hatch size. So that's definitely one of the main giveaways, and that's quite an easy fix. So I decided to use a Lehman Russ tank hatch, or sorry, Lehman Russ. I know some of you guys get a bit offended with my West Country pronunciations, but I use a normal 40k tank hatch on top with a crewman, and I think that's a bolt action German winter head, and that's like just a makeshift Valhallan for me. Just a nice kind of like a, you know, Russian style hat there. And yeah, that's pretty much all I did. I just filed it down, put another hatch on. I put some heavy bolters on the side sponsons to solidify it in the 40k universe. Initially, I did a spray paint camo pattern with a white undercoat and Death Guard green. It looked pretty good. It's a little bit hard to control because, of course, the spray is too wide, really. Something I used to do a lot when I was a kid for easy camo on GW tanks, but I've gotten past that a little bit now. So what I decided to do was undercoat it again, white, and come in with the airbrush. And we'll move to that screen next just for some giggles. You'll be able to tell immediately that I'm an amateur with the airbrush, or novice, I should say. Look at the amount of paint in the reservoir there. However, I'm glad I pushed myself. I got some nice, gentle transitions here with a couple of different colors. Very kind of Endor Rebel camouflage thing from Star Wars going on there. It kind of reminds me of that. I kept a lot of white in deliberately for the winter theme. A lot of this does get covered up later on, as you'll see with my kind of winterization. Incidentally, go and check out Sonic Sledgehammer's video. I'll put a link to that in the description. That was my main inspiration for winterizing this thing, which I don't cover in the video. I'd like you to go and watch his video. I do use Valhallan Blizzard rather than what he uses, which is a mixture of PVA and baking soda, which is much cheaper actually. But it's the same principle. Go and check that video out because it does a much better job than me at showing how to do that, guys. And go and check out the link. But anyway, I kind of go ahead and fill in a lot of the details of this tank before we go on to weathering. So, you know, a lot of the engine, the tracks, the sponsons get a little bit of a detail put on them as well. And then I come in with an old bit of sponge and some Rhinox hide and go ahead and just chip the whole thing up a little bit. In fact, a lot of this camouflage really does get completely covered up later on, as you'll see, but I'm glad about the end result. I think it's worth it, and I think you've kind of got to have a lot of faith in that kind of winter technique. But as I said, go and check out Sonic Sledgehammer's video. Really, really good. I can't praise it enough. I know I said it a few times, guys, but it's great. I actually pick out the driver in contrast paints mainly, just simple tabletop standard stuff here, make him look vaguely Valhallan. So that's quite good. And I just keep it really kind of easy and straightforward because this whole thing is going to get heavily weathered anyway. And yeah, I'm just happy with a bit of a change. I've got some more Valhallan stuff coming up actually, so stay tuned if you like the Valhallans, guys. Time for some transfers, and well, and I go for a spot of colour here, go for some red, some older transfers and some newer ones used as well. And I'm really happy with the choice here. It just adds a little bit of visual interest, a pop of colour, really goes a long way when you're doing camouflage patterns like this, I think. Lots of weathering with some Agrax Earthshade, and now for the final shots. Okay, so here's the finished results, guys. I hope you like it. I had a great time with this project, and I want to add my sincere thanks to Fankezipanzercorp for sending this tank through to me. It's provided me with a lot of inspiration, and it's given me an important push into trying to use my airbrush a little bit more, and the merits of doing that are obvious to me now. And also, it's just provided a lot of inspiration. The idea of following through now and maybe creating a Valhallan themed army is just too much to resist. I'm definitely going to do some, and I've got a lot of older Valhallan miniatures as well, so I'd love to resurrect them. So stay tuned if you're interested on that side of things. But I want to thank you all for joining me. I really appreciate all the support. And if you've enjoyed the content, I would ask that you either like or share the video. It really does help the channel to grow. And if you're not already subscribed, guys, consider giving us a sub. As I said, there's plenty more on the way for you treadheads out there, but also for you Primaris fanboys as well, and with the Titan. Take care, guys. I will catch you in another video soon.